All right. It's setting up our meeting. Oh, here we go. Okay. We are live.
Well, hello.
Isn't that easy?
I love it. I love
I
technology when it works.
Me too. And when it doesn't, I'm like,
The panic button goes on.
I know. So how are you, Karen? It's so good to see you.
Good to see you, Lynn. I'm great. It's a beautiful day here in New York City. It's sunny, bright, and actually being that it's November 17th, it's actually
Great.
beautiful outside. It's not snowy, not raining, and Macy's is ready to go. I can see it from my seat
Oh
here.
my God, that's gotta be, I used to watch, yeah, like from our apartment, you could see all that. It's so interesting, right?
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, so anyway, hi everyone. We are doing another CBC interview with Karen from Immunocologie. Really excited to talk to her. She's got so many interesting things to share. Not least story and her health, which is kind of what prompted her business, which very much I relate to because I had my own health issues. So we kind of share that. So I do want to talk a little bit about that because I think for a lot of people, that's very useful. And actually, in the last, I would say 2 months or so, I've had a couple of people reach out to me who've had some breast cancer, either scares or diagnoses. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, yeah.
And trying to navigate that. So it is, at our age, unfortunately, this is kind of part of what you deal with.
It is. And it seems as though that a lot of us are hearing more and more about this. And to your point, Lynn, my health scare, your health scare, we're both survivors right now. But when we hear about someone being diagnosed, I know our heart just goes right down deep inside because we remember that day when we got that diagnosis, right?
It is terrifying. And you do go through these like almost panic attacks.
Yeah.
I can't really describe it another way of like, is this actually happening to me? Oh my God. But then you kind of also, what I did, and actually what the person that I'm referring to is doing, you kind of go to this place where you're like, what's the plan?
Yeah.
Get the plan. I need to execute the plan. And then you're like, okay, I have a plan. So at least there's comfort in that.
Yes.
Which for me was a big piece of it. I don't like the unknown. Maybe it's my type A personality. I
That's
don't. I just like to know, like, at least, even if the steps don't work, at least there are steps, you know what I mean?
yes.
Hopefully they work. Hopefully they work, but
Well, I'm in that AB personality, and I'm the same way. It's just like even when I was having my children, I would have to know exactly what sex I was having. I had to make sure I was planned, organized, and then when I got diagnosed, the same thing. Okay, my two kids are going off to college. I need to figure out where they're going to be, where they're going to be, their dorms. I followed one to France just to make sure I knew just before I started chemo, just to make sure I knew what his housing living situation was, and make sure he had everything he
yeah.
needed. Oh my God, it was like, okay, it's like you get focused on the plan and then the journey, right?
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever asked you this, but your kids are New Yorkers, aren't they?
Yes. Mhm.
As are mine. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing to raise kids in New York City. So first of all, there's this energy in New York that just can't be replicated. And when my kids moved to the Berkshires and then to Palm Springs, they're both like, get us back to New York. Like, it's not what we signed up for. We need to be in New York. But I think as a beauty founder, let's talk about it from that angle, because that's kind of how we met, actually, being in New
Yes,
York City. There is a community of indie beauty founders there, and it's kind of an interesting place to launch a business, good and bad.
it is. That's
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
that's a good statement because good or bad, it is the place to be.
right? Like, don't you feel that beauty is still kind of has a center of gravity in New York City, at least in the US? I mean, I know LA is becoming bigger, Miami's getting bigger, but I think New York is still it, right?
It really, really is, and those listening to us, we have a place, in the country too. when I go there, I love being there, love being with my friends there, but I can't walk out the door and go have a, hey, Lynn's in town. I'm going to go meet her because she's in
Yeah.
town right? Or other beauty associates or other beauty companies or events that are going on. There's no better place to be but New York if you're in the beauty industry or near around New York, so you can get to New York very quickly. So, I always wish for anyone who could get here or be here more often to be able to participate in these things. And I know you get to come here pretty often, but it is the place, it is the centrifuge of the beauty industry. It really is happening here. Even the fashion capital too, right? But
Yeah.
the beauty is right here. And so our good fortune of having an opportunity to meet each other here in New York.
And it's also, let's face it, it doesn't suck to meet in a wine bar in New York City. It's like, oh, we're slumming it.
I like
So,
that last one we went to, by the way.
yeah, I know that we should give them a shout out. What was that called? Oh my, Sophia Wine Bar. in the
Yes,
city, on the east side, really cute.
and the food, the little appetizers.
Yeah.
I want to go back there again because it just was warm and cozy.
All right. When I come back and I have time, now the good news is since my son moved back after
Yeah.
he was, this is not New York, and he got a job in New York and he works in advertising, which is what I did for 30 years.
Oh,
Yep.
not too far from mom's.
Oh, trust me, it was in his genes. He couldn't deny it. His grandfather worked in advertising, my husband's dad and my husband too. And it was sort of like, Billy,
Yeah.
just at some point, come to grips with the fact that you're going to be an ad guy. But he works in Midtown. What he does is very different. It's data science. And
Oh,
your kids are kind of related to the business too, because isn't your son in the production side?
yeah, he's in production. My second son is actually in the industry. He works for a part of our company, our equity fund, Lucas Brand Equity. And my daughter actually put together a brand called Mellow Giraffe, which, we'll launch
Oh.
at some point. And the only one that's not in the business is the youngest of the four. He just graduated from law school, so he's taking his board.
He'll be in the business just from a different angle.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's from sustainability. So,
Yeah.
he's got to go get with that, law firm, get some experience out there. He's not going to get it, coming into the beauty business industry. But yeah, but I have to just tell you this one thing. The oldest one being in the media, and he's worked on immunocologie from the beginning, and now he's on production and things like that. He's done some documentaries and more on and on and on. And we have a media facility actually in Times Square, a media company called Symphony Studio. So if anyone wants to know more, just let me know. But anyway, what funny part about it is that since they were born, I was developing 100 products for a company out of New York City, out of Long Island City here in New York. And so I always say, which was the first baby, him or the product? And since then, they were both launched at the exact same time. I mean, I was writing copy while going to have a baby, right? And people say, you're
work for you though, too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so where were your kids born in New York City?
So actually, they were born at that very time. We were in Chicago, and so they were actually born in Chicago, and then we moved here. So,
I moved from Chicago too.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I'm originally from Chicago. Yeah.
Ah, somewhere we missed that one.
I know. My husband and I met in Chicago, and then we moved here. But my kids were actually born at the hospital's not there anymore. It was St. Vincent's on 14th.
Oh yes, of course.
14th. And weirdly, little fun fact, I know we're getting way off of clean beauty, but our kids were born in the same room of the same room in the maternity ward.
That is crazy.
That crazy. The same well, my doctor the second time was late. And so I was like, the baby's coming out. And they're like, And literally a nurse walked in and caught my daughter as she
slid out.
came right out.
That is wild.
But anyway, let's get back to beauty because we could probably have this kind of conversation all day long, which
with a nice glass of wine.
Oh yes, which I am. Yes, my sparkling rosé, which is perfect here. I'm in Dominica. Okay, so let's talk more about Immunocologie because your brand, I think, is really incredible on many levels. Okay, I'm going to say my perspective of your brand.
Yeah.
And then I think you're going to tell me more and tell me if I'm wrong and then give me a little bit more insight. But I think one of the coolest things about her brand is this hero ingredient that she has, which is very beneficial and unique and not really known in the US. And I think that is incredible. Another thing about her brand that I think is really, really cool is that it really is this high level esthetician quality brand, but
Yes.
very accessible. So it's kind of this blend, and it also looks very sophisticated because of the packaging. So it's very New York in
Yes.
the sophistication. That's the way
Yes.
I think of it. Yes, I think it's very New York.
Yes, it's that black and white,
Yes.
minimalist in its packaging, simple. This is a round packaging, round tube. So yes, minimalist and simple, very simple.
And
So
I also like, wait, one more thing. I
yeah,
also like that your products are both interesting but easy to understand. They're
thank-
not, they're not the run-of-the-mill products. And we're going to talk about why, because she has some stuff that I don't think anyone else has. Which in skincare is not an easy feat, by the way. Anyone listening, if you're a skincare founder, it's so hard to make something original that no one else has. And Karen has a couple of products that I think are very unique. So I think for all those reasons, the brand is amazing.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Lena. You know, and you hit on those points very well that, you know, the uniqueness of the ingredients, you know, and we're not a company that the ingredients are like a lot of other people's. You're not going to find our ingredients, you know, from our oil, which comes from Africa, the Belenite oil, very unique and very specific. And our patent technology is our patent technology that, you know, no one else has. So it makes the product that much more special, but much more effective in our category of healthy and clean and non-toxic and you know, bringing value to the skin and the cellular layer. So I appreciate that, and sharing that with everyone about the uniqueness of the brand. So that
Talk a little bit more though about the clay part of it, because that is really interesting.
yeah.
I mean, people hear that and they go, oh yeah, there are other mud masks and clays, but this is a different type of clay and it has health benefits. And that to me is also fascinating in how you found it.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know how I found it really was, you know, typical of, you know, sometimes you as well, and you know, being in the industry, and you get to be part of some things that you never even thought that was even the wildest dream that you'd be part of. And I was brought into a project with green clay, and you say, oh, green clay, I've heard of that, I know that. Well, not all green clays are the same, and I found that out when I got introduced to this project, consulting project that I was going to take on, which I did. And the clay from France, I found that the clay from France is different from green clay any other area of the world because it is the richest of all of the clays with its minerals in it, and then also the capacity to be able to be beneficial to the skin. And so I had the good fortune of meeting this incredible ethnobotanist and virologist from France. He worked actually at the Pasteur Institute, and he was studying green clay as a technology that could be used with water in an ionized way. And that ionization would then be used in organic farming. And he said, hey, if this could be used on potatoes and be, you know, beneficial to the potatoes, because they found that the potatoes are richer in these minerals that were in the clay that actually protecting, right? And they said, gee, if that could happen, could it work with the skin? And that's when I got, you know, the call to say, could you work with us on this project? And, I think many people out there think, oh, it's just another clay. No, it's not. Not at all. And, you know, it's that ashy green color that you see here, right? This is our
Oh, I love that.
vital clay mask. But this clay, rich in its minerals like iron and sulfur, and it has your zinc and your magnesium in it. And these are the 12 essential minerals that are so important that we get daily into our body, right? And that was fascinating to me, in a potato getting this enriched with these minerals. And so what he did is he actually put this together with the clay water. He took clay and this is where sometimes the science gets a little bit like, whoa, let's stop for a minute. But if you take water and you take the clay, the green clay, and you bring it together, we made a patent technology of clay water. And this clay water became the delivery system that's in every one of the clay masks. And so it gave the clay the hydration while you're getting the benefit of the detoxification, which
Yeah.
very different, very, very different.
How long did it take you guys to figure that out? I'm curious.
Yeah, it was interesting because it took about a year and a half.
Yeah, okay.
When I was on the project, it took about a year and a half because we took the clay water and we added hyaluronic to it. And we found that the skin stayed hydrated, about 5, 6, 8 hours longer than just water. And what that means is that we have this thing in our industry that we share with the consumer, transdermal water loss. And that means that when we're out and about, our skin can get dehydrated and dry because we're either not drinking enough water, but topically, right?
Yeah.
And so what we found is that by having this clay water sprayed on your skin, that your skin would stay hydrated more. But then when we added an ingredient like the hyaluronic to it, or we put it into the clay, we found that we were getting even more results with it. One, with the clay not drying, but more absorbing of that water into the skin and delivering those minerals. So that was one.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily expected that.
Yeah. And then the clay water by itself is hydrating. But then when we add that to the rest of our line, it adds to that hydration to the skin. Well, the funny part about that is that I was just helping them at the time to get this research done. I'd spent many years working in the industry with, I call intervention in our industry, things like matrixyl and arginine and things like salicylic and glycolic in my years of working and developing products. So this was a fascinating one because it was really what I believed is what can we take from the earth that would be beneficial for our body and for our skin, right? And so I loved this project because I thought we were onto something.
Yeah.
And we totally were, of course, like where I am today. But what I didn't know that was in front of me was going to be that I would get diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And that was where I had to stop, obviously get well, take the time to get well, take the time, I ended up having to go through the journey of taking chemo, radiation, you know that, right? You've been there. And taking that step to getting well, I always call it my journey, and you do too, I know. The journey to getting well. And so I, of course, was off the project. And so happened that the project sort of stayed, the knowledge was there, but the project stayed there. And I don't know if it was because, to me, it was sort of the fate of this. I never thought about putting a brand together, but when I was told I was in remission 5 years later, because during those 5 years, I was, just still in a place where I was
waiting for it to come back. You're not sure. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm still there. I've got my port because
Yeah. Do you still have your port?
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah. See, you never know, right? You just.
They, like you, they told me, don't take it out until you're 5 years in the clear. And I'm 2 years now.
Yep.
So that's good, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I waited 5 years too. So that was why, by the time I really came to the realization that, hey, every time, just a little side note, every time I went for that checkup, I'm sure you do too, like, oh, let's pray that all is good, right?
Yep.
So when I was told I was in remission, the little light bulb went off and I said, I could go and continue to work on brands and continue to work on technology and in our industry and education and what have you. But I realized at that moment, I needed to bring this clay water to all women around the world and men, because it was so beneficial. Because I used this clay while I was sick, by the way. I used the clay, I put it on my skin. And a lot of my chemo friends would say, why does your skin look so glowing? And, I'm looking a little dull and pale and yellow here. And, I couldn't tell them that I had to put this together, but I wasn't thinking about selling it. I was just using it. It was for the benefit of myself at the time and the clay water as well. And then I was recommended by the ethnobotanist to start drinking the clay water. It's like, whoa, that's amazing. So I did that by which I just want to say that in 2025, we will be coming out with a clay water.
I was just gonna ask that. Oh my God. You
Yes.
read my mind. I literally was like, wait, are you gonna do that? Okay, that's
Yes.
awesome.
So we'll be
That
talking
would
about
be
that later.
okay, just to put a point on that. That is yet another super cool innovation that I don't think I've heard of any skincare brand doing something like that. So that's pretty amazing.
Yes, yes. And that will detox you. We're right now in a study. I'm just waiting for this study to come through, but we really, we've seen some really good results so far, but that it helps the cortisol, your telomeres. And so it affects the brain when you use the clay
That's
water.
aging, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that, yeah.
it's going to
So
be.
wait, the process to get that approved through the FDA though is not easy, right?
Well, and they still don't approve it as long as you don't make any medical claims, right?
Okay.
But we will be able to have this. This is a true study that we're doing over in France with it. So we'll be able to use the data as a third party, evaluation of this. And we have right now 20 different people and testing with this, where they're testing that. So not only have we now tested it for the skin to see how it hydrates the skin, this clay water, but now we're going to see how it actually affects how, our lifestyle, how we live, our telomeres, our longevity, things like that. So we have 8 different flavors and for 8 different purposes. So again, stay tuned for that, everyone.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Like, I can't even believe, like, I'm going to be one of the first people getting that. That is because, okay, so I just have to point out another similarity, which is you found inspiration and treatment. I'm using that loosely because it's not a medical treatment, but treatment in your product or in your hair ingredient. And I don't know if you know, but I have been taking Fucoidan pills for since I was diagnosed, which is, I found out because it's part of makabu, our Japanese ocean seaweed. So in Asia, this ingredient called Fucoidan is taken as a supplement to prevent cancer. It's known to kill cancer. And a bunch of studies in Asia, don't take my words, Google it. Fucoidan.
Yeah.
And you'll see these studies pop up that are like, oh my God. And so it's in my product, in my hair care, and I take it now as a supplement. And it's like you, like, I was like, wait a minute, this stuff is actually insane in a good way.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. And, I don't know if it was the Fucoidan, but right when I knew I had cancer, but I had about a month of tests and stuff before I could start my chemo. Cause there's that process of biopsy and then another biopsy and then the MRI and then the CT and all that stuff. So it's about a month. I started taking it in that month. So I had a good solid month of taking it, but I was also taking turkey tail and taking metformin, but my tumor shrunk and they didn't believe me. They thought that they had missed the measurement somehow and that they blamed themselves. They were like, there's no way that could be right. And I said, no, I'm taking these. And they go, no, there's no way. And I'm like,
you just have to leave it as is because it is what it is. And it's hard for them to see,
it's hard for them because conventional medicine doesn't recognize sometimes all this stuff that could actually be really beneficial. So I still take all 3 every day.
Yeah, good.
Which one of the 3 is like the secret sauce?
Well, you know what? Maybe all together they just work simultaneously,
It could be the combination. You're right. But I'm not jinxing it. I'm going to still take those every day because why not?
I have to tell you, so interesting. And, I know we can go sideways a little here for everyone, but, I think it's always great to be able to, share with people also how you get where you are. And, similar to that is that before I was actually going in, like you said, you go through all these tests and what have you. And so I had almost, I had about 3 or 4 weeks before I was going in for my first chemo. So there's also an ingredient out there called sea cucumber. You can look that up. And it has some very, very good results on helping to shrink tumors. And you do have to do it every day, twice a day, and take this. Doesn't taste good. Oh my God, it's so bad. So you have to do a little chaser, a little apple juice down.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Is
drank
it a
it.
liquid? What is it? It's not a pill?
No, it's an actual liquid. It has to stay frozen.
Oh,
It's a little costly, but it has some incredible results with it. I caught it a little too late, meaning had I more time in between getting started with chemo, I bet you it could have taken down my tumors. But at the time, I only had 3 or 4 weeks to get it into my system. But there are people out there who have never had to have chemo because they did the sea cucumber, and the results are phenomenal. So I just sort of put that out there for people that if you are and have time, or it's not something you take and if you don't have it on a regular basis. Although people do take it as a precautionary measure, but it's not something. It's just so tasty. Awful, but
what does it taste like?
the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, so very brine, like salty and briny.
Yeah, and yes, yeah, basically.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I got through it, but you definitely want to hold your nose when you're doing it. But and I have to say to you, it is something that you can do after treatment, which is what I did too. I did take it for a while afterwards. So these are part of our journey, right? That we do things, and wellness and the well-being is not just about just doing it once and don't ever do it again. You really want to continue to do these things that are going to keep you well. So that was
okay. That's a very, very, very important point. And I wanted to stress that because skincare is the same way. People will start using something, and then if they don't see results in like 2 days, they get very fickle and finicky. But one of the things about skincare that I've noticed is you get the best results when you're consistent.
Yes.
And that is super important because people will ask me a lot. I mean, I'm 57, my skin looks pretty good. People ask me what I use, and I'm like, there's a few products that are my go-tos and I use them regularly. And it's the consistency, I think, of letting your body kind of acclimate and not having unrealistic expectations.
Yes.
So let's talk about that, and let's relate it now. Let's go to your skincare line and let's go into let's dig a little deeper in that.
Yeah. Well, that's where, once I realized that this water was actually a delivery system, it made me realize also that that's been part of the missing link to many, many products in the marketplace is not having a delivery system. And to your point, one of the things that's really important is having that consistency. And so I made the line very simple. And it's also, there's a lot of parts to the product that are what I call customizable. Our cleanser is one cleanser, but you customize it to your skin based on some of the things that, if you have oily skin or dry skin. But, innovation is also very important to me. Customization is important to me. Simplicity is important to me. And the nature of how do you work with nature, but get results? Because so many people out there who are listening to us now think that natural cannot work, but reality is that nature is what really is how any medicine starts. They get it into the lab and then they start to synthesize it, but they all start with some form of plant-based, and they just change it up as they get into and to be able to scale it, to multiply it, and to do things like that. So when we come into the nature side of it in our industry, we're kind of going back in time and looking at, that plant medicine. We're looking at plant as food. And that's why when I think of immunocologie, meaning the study of the skin's immunity, because the skin has a memory. It knows what it wants. It knows it needs water. It knows it needs oil. The water needs to have the minerals, and the oil needs to be able to bring some form of the vitamins or even some of those other ingredients, such as your either be burgundy grapeseed, white grapeseed, like we have in our product, or moringa or shea butter. Those all bring a nature of some form of vitamins to our skin, to our epidermis. And so these things get delivered in through Immunocologie's clay water, which is our ionic what we call a vital ionic exchange, right? It's an ionic exchange that takes water, clay, brings it together, and that charge. And so we have the water that feels like water, looks like water, but it's more than water. It actually has an alkaline, not acidic, but an alkaline state. So it helps to get the skin into a homeostasis or balanced state of being. And so one of the things in my innovation with this that, when I started the brand was I wanted to be about innovation. I didn't want to be the copycat or to be like everybody else. Otherwise, I wasn't doing a brand to do what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't do a vitamin C. That's why I don't have a retinol. I have what's called my Super 7, and I use snail mucin in it. And the snail mucin is about firming and tightening and repairing the skin and helping with your your free radicals. It used as an antioxidant as well. And through that, be able to see a difference. And that's my pro-aging product, where some people would call it anti-aging. I love to make sure we all realize that we can gracefully age, but we don't, that anti-aging part is we're all going to age. How do we do it gracefully, right?
Yep, absolutely. No, you're right. That is it. I mean, some of us kind of fight it more than others, right?
Yes. Yep.
And that's, I guess, personal values and opinions and attitudes also. And
yeah. And
all right, so let's talk about your lava mask. Yeah.
So, this is where, you're talking about innovation. So in the clay, now the clay is made up of three things: lava, bentonite, and kaolin. So there we have in the mines these three ingredients that turn into what looks ashy, but looks green.
Yeah.
Right. And so our lava mask, and you kind of see from the description here, sort of shows like a little lava here of a lava mountain. And so the lava is actually mined in our lava that we use in our lava mask is mined in Utah here in the United States.
Oh.
But it's a technology that when you get this lava back in, again, lava from the earth, you pick it up, you feel it. But what we've been able to do is use science, a natural science, that when you put water to it, it then gets it hot again. Is that incredible?
That is incredible. I love that aspect because it's such a great sensation.
Yes.
And the heat really helps. That's the other thing people don't realize too, is like temperature and skincare is important. Like it helps your skin, your pores open or close, and helps the products actually penetrate and do what they need to do.
It also helps to push your collagen too. You want to stimulate, those fibroblasts. That's what we're always talking about is, the fibroblasts, the collagen, get that collagen moving, because that's really the life of your skin, the plumping of the skin. And when the skin gets too thin and you lose that collagen, your skin starts to sag a bit. And that's where, aging does set in. So we're always looking to promote healthy skin through what we're doing to get to healthy skin. So one of the things I want to show you, Lynn, is the lava mask. This is a 4-pack, right? Which is sells for $60, which is great because you can share it or be selfish and
great for a party if you want to do like a little girls' night and have that's perfect.
So 4 of these, you can see how thin they are. 4 of these come in this package here. Okay, so which is really fun, great holiday gift item as well. And that's why I thought it'd be great, because it's in our holiday gift guide, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to show everyone today a little bit about, so we open it up, right? And back here is a little QR code, so you can actually see the instructions, but I'm going to do it live and in person here for you, which will be fun. And what is in here? You're probably asking that question as I fill it up with water. What's in here is the lava. Lava is about the minerals that are going to be beneficial to the skin. Now, lava is also charcoal, and those minerals are also about taking down inflammation. It's also bringing minerals to the skin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some water. If you're at your sink, you can do this. You put water in here. I'm going to bring water all the way up to the top of this little pouch. So don't want you to get shy. Don't do it halfway, but do it all the way up. And you might be able to see that water in there. I'm going to bring it all the way up to the top. And once I do this, one of the things that happens here is this little mask is in here. And very thin, and I'm going to show you something here because this is so cool. It's very thin, and when you do open up this and you put the water in, I just want to show you how thin this is. This is the mat, this is the cloth side, and this is compostable, right? So here's the cloth side that goes on your face, and that way you know the difference. And then this is what will go on your face, and it'll get nice and warm. But it also has hibiscus in it, hibiscus, which is
Ooh.
great, again, for soothing, calming, hydrating the skin, and it has marine algae in it. And the
Oh,
marine algae is so good for the collagen of our skin. So one, we're bringing minerals into the skin. We're bringing the collagen through our marine algae. And then we have the hibiscus to calm and soothe the skin. But at the same time, we're doing all of those three things. We have heat. So this little thin sheet mask, right, which everyone's used to, a thin sheet mask, actually starts to get bulky, and you're going to start to see that thin. Look at what's happening.
oh my God. Yeah.
So it's already, you can kind of see in there. It's, those.
It's absorbing the water.
So it's absorbing the water. Yeah. So you'll see this in just a second. I'm going to leave it in for just another second here. So this is absorbing the water, and it gets nice and big and puffy. And it smells so delightful. And you can hear the crackling of the lava when you put it on. So it has its own little music, right? And I will tell you, you do spa night, you're just wanting to relax, take a moment. That heat on the skin, just so relaxing. And it gets nice and warm. But I will tell you, if it gets too warm for you, put a little extra cold water on it just to cool it down faster. But when you pull it out, it has these little tabs, right? And you just shake it out to get it cool. Just like if you had a hot towel, you wouldn't put it, it's too hot for you, you wouldn't put that on. You'd wait for it to cool down. So you just shake it out a little bit like this, and you feel it. If it feels perfect, then you put it on. Feels too warm, you just wait till it cools down. And if you don't have time to wait for it to cool down, put a little cold water on it, or lukewarm water to calm it down. But then get it on nice. You want it to be more than just warm. You want that heat. So it detoxes the skin, hydrates the skin. You're going to massage it into the skin. And I'm going to show you in just a moment.
So you don't put any serum on under it, do you?
Well, you can. We do both, because some don't have the serum, so we don't want them to feel as if they don't have it, it won't work, of course. But it's always nice to put a serum on. So I even like it, even we have our face serum oil. Yeah. Right. But I also love to put our hyaluronic underneath it. And that's our hyaluronic. I love to put this on. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is nice because it's that added hydration. And our hyaluronic is a 4D hyaluronic, means it has 4 ways of getting into the skin and bringing water into the skin from outside into the skin. So we call it 4D hyaluronic, which is very unusual for most people. They have just one layer of hyaluronic where it just topically goes on the skin and hoping to collect the molecules. Ours actually pulls it up from under and topically as well. So you get the 4D effect. Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
So that's another technology that we have. So what you do is you put your serum on if you have it. And, someone might say, hey, I have another serum. Can I use that? Of course you can. But, we love you to use Immunocologie and get the benefits of the health benefits. So you tap it on to the skin. And once you've tapped your serum onto the skin, then you take your mask, and you're going to see here, it's nice and look how bad it got. Oh my God. Right? It's so crazy. I love this technology. Thin like this to this, right? Yeah. So we take it out. I have a little bowl here just because it's good to just put in a little bowl just to do that. Or if you're at the sink, and you just kind of squeeze out some of the excess water. And then once you've done that, then you take it, and very easily, I might go to sleep now. So see how thick and creamy it is?
By the way, I just have to tell people it smells really good. Like people notice, they comment on it. And I wish there was some technology where people could smell it through the computer.
I know, right?
Really does smell incredible.
It's so delicious.
It's like it's a spa, it's definitely a spa experience. It's not,
And
does not feel like you're just doing a regular sheet mask.
you feel this little cushion. You can feel it, see me pushing on the little cushion.
Yeah.
You want to actually take this and you want to squeeze that into your skin by massaging it in to get the benefit of this, because this is where the lava, the minerals help to strengthen your skin, you know, in the sense of the cellular wall, and bring that lava, the minerals, into the skin through the heat, which is very, very important to the health of your skin. Then you have that marine algae that you want to get into the skin for the collagen. So it's great to massage this into the skin as you're doing that and you're massaging that in, and the heat is there. It's so luxurious, I have to tell you.
Oh, I love it.
It may not look so luxurious.
But well, look, you feel a little bit like Hannibal Lecter while you're doing it, but it is amazing. And afterwards, you're going to look gorgeous and glowing, and it's perfect. So by the way, we only have a couple more minutes before I think my Zoom is going to shut off.
Yes.
Put it in for a certain. So let's recap and share what you think. Give people your top like 3 tips on how they can be embracing a more conscious skincare routine. Let's do that.
That's great. That's great. And let me just finish by saying, you take this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This, you can put it back in the bag, put it in the fridge, use it another time, put hot water in it, or feed your plants this. When you do this little QR code back here, you'll see all of that all the little instructions for that. So to your point, Lynn, you know, one of the things that's really important here is, you said earlier, is being able to do a treatment that actually is following those steps, right? And for me, it's about the health of the skin. I am looking at what's really important: non-toxic ingredients. Healthy skin comes from things that, you know, are from the earth. You know, it doesn't mean just the earth. You can have things that may have, like we use snail mucin, and that snail mucin has benefits, but still a natural ingredient, right? And so I just want to say that we get a little confused out there in our marketplace today because of clean versus toxic products.
Yeah.
But I like to use the one part that I think is so important. If we think about what's on the back of the ingredient and the products, too many ingredients. I'm not stuttering there. I'm just saying, if there are too many ingredients, you might want to consider thinking about that. But not so much that, but to think about the health of your body, you have to think about the health of the skin. Gut health is so important. Skin health is so important. Oral health is so important. So that microbiome of the skin, the gut, the oral part of it is important. So my belief here today is that Immunocologie is taking you through the steps of how to have a healthy lifestyle with skincare, opposed to just using something that has a lot of toxic ingredients that are being absorbed into your body. So really important to think about that. One thing I do want to say before we wrap up here, you know, we have the holiday season. We have some really nice specials that are going to be coming up, so people can take advantage of that. I know with CBC, we have the catalog, so you'll be seeing the lava mask in there, which will be fantastic. So look for that. And then one last thing I want to say is that I want you to look for, I'll be sending out an email to everyone about our 21-day program that will actually be about getting results. So this is our 21-day challenge on how to use Immunocologie for 21 days to get that glow and really see that skin the way that you see your skin. Beautiful, glowing skin. Skin. So look for that.
You're clearly standing behind your products if you're saying, hey, you're going to see a difference in 21 days.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's incredible.
Yep.
All right. I think that wraps us up. That was a really great conversation, and we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
If anybody has things they want to ask or share, put it in the comments.
Yes.
We will get back to you. But thank you so much for joining today. And we will pick this up in New York City another time.
All right. Thank you. And have a great holiday season, everyone.
Bye.